Hello, everyone. Welcome to our usual Sunday afternoon kitchen table talk. And it's been in the 150s forever, says Noel. Probably very true. But there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and it's nice to be able to get together with everybody and talk about all of the crazy stuff that's going on. So welcome. And today, well, we were talking in the green room about how leaving Canada leaves you completely disenfranchised politically. Like if you leave Canada for Japan or something like that, you're disenfranchised from taking part in politics basically wherever you go. Your kids might have a chance, but maybe not Japan because different alphabets make it very difficult to integrate. Your kids might have a chance, but you're cooked, right? Like, so I would be cooked if I was like, I'm going to anywhere really. Even the United States, I speak the language, but
you're cooked right now.
I'm cooked now. Yeah, that's
you don't know French well enough.
You're right. You're not
wrong.
And
within 5 years, you're going to not know Punjabi or Diwali or
you're not wrong.
Kazakhstanian or Afghanistanian. Like,
listen, I'm angling. Me personally, I think I'm going to go and live in Dubai or not Dubai. Sorry, New Delhi, and I'm gonna become a politician, a prominent politician, maybe the leader of their NDP in India, just to mess with Jagmeet Singh. Like, that's my hope. I'm just going to go there. It's the long con. I'm going to go there.
I have a friend in India. I'll reach out to him, and I'm just going to get his take just before you waste the money on a plane ticket.
For real. I actually read a whole write-up talking about how there was an Indian guy who helped his eldest child move to Canada. And he was like, I helped my oldest move to Canada against my better judgment because it's really far away and, blah, blah, blah. But I wanted to help him, whatever. And it was in a Canadian newspaper. It was in like Canadian Globe and Mail or something like that. And then he ended up helping his second kid move to Canada. And he came to Canada and was hanging out with both of his kids. And he started paying attention to Canadian politics. And he was like, I can't believe how many Indian MPs you have in Canada. He said, in India, the Indian citizens wouldn't tolerate that. Nobody would vote for a white Canadian, like Anglo person. Nobody would vote for that. You're not Indian, buddy. You're not Indian. Like, and he said, I don't understand why you Canadians keep voting Indians in. What's going on with you, basically? Like, we would never do that in India. In India, it would never happen.
But we give the privilege, the promise, the right of the vote away really easily to people that were never born here, that are a new class Canadian, not an old stock Canadian. And there's a difference between an old stock Canadian and a new class Canadian.
Sure. But I think that it's all part and parcel of the ongoing attack against the West. Like, there's a situation rolling out here. Like, look at what's going on in the United Kingdom with regard to free speech and people being arrested for their online posts and all sorts of stuff like that. People are concerned about just basic run-of-the-mill stuff. Government that is working for its citizens would never target the speech of its citizens like that.
Yeah, but what citizens? What demographic of the citizenry are you talking about? Because the government, in certain ways, are working for a demographic of the citizenry. It's just not the old stock ones.
Well, it's not us.
No. Well, but it's not. They're not working for the citizens. Right. They're using the excuse of these pro-Palestinian protests. And you can go back all the way to 2017 when it was the First Nations blockading railroads in order to have political action. That's terrorism. When you target citizens, innocent citizens, to change political action, that's terrorism. And these guys were given carte blanche to continue it. And so the government does not represent the citizens. They represent the NGOs who they're using our tax dollars to buy off and to pay. And so, like, in that way, I see what you're saying. Like, the argument, when I say it's an attack, they're using our system against us in order to leverage the ability to attack us through selective enforcement, through all sorts of different things. But the net is that terrorists who target civilians, citizens, innocent people are allowed to operate, while citizens who say, hold on a second, why are we beheading ostriches? Those people are the ones who are being arrested and thrown in jail for thought crime.
Nobody likes actual and factual.
No.
Right?
But they say there's no facts.
Feelings and emotions.
Yeah, they say there's no fact. Like if I say that man can't be a woman, they say there's no fact there. You're making somebody anxious. You're purposely making somebody anxious because you're ignoring their wishes or something like that. And it's like, well, I'm not even engaging with their wishes. It has nothing to do with their wishes. The reality of the situation is, there are 4 lights. I'm not going to say there are 5 lights. I can't remember his name. Where's Max when you need him? I'm not going to say, I know, right? I'm not going to say there are 5 lights. It's not going to happen. But
where is Max?
But fundamentally, the ask is you have to affirm our twisted reality or we're going to punish you harder. And I'd rather be Captain Picard in rags telling him, fuck off. And then, but at the end, right? Yeah. Picard says, I saw 4 lights, man. Or there are 5, whatever. However many. I saw the amount of lights he told me I was going to see. And that's the sad situation that we find ourselves in because they keep repeating this crap and people just relent. Like they're not as strong as Picard was, right? During that Star Trek episode. It's ridiculous. So it is an attack. It's an attack it's a personal attack in order to get us to see the number of lights they want us to see in order to teabag us. But again, with the ostrich thing, I bring that up. It felt manufactured before they killed the ostriches, and it feels now like a bit of a teabag. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this a big deal. We're gonna have lots and lots of media coverage. We're gonna have a budget where people think it's going to an election because it's such a shit sandwich of a budget. And then in the reality of the thing, we're gonna pass the budget and show how much power we have, and we're gonna kill the ostriches too, right? And like, It feels like a demoralization operation. Like you think you're in control of your country, you can't even save the ostriches, you stupid Canadian. Right. And that's what I feel like our government, when I say they don't work for us, that's what I mean. Vindictive tyrants. MC, thanks, Noel. MC?
Yeah, in your face, Canadians.
Yeah.
I read a bunch of comments about that, and it seems like people are really, really angry about it. Maybe even more so than they've been angry about all the other outrages that have been happening over the past few years.
Nobody was angry about COVID in the way they're mad about the ostriches, and that's weird.
Yeah, but going back to even earlier, if you do move to New Delhi, Mark, you should open a 7-Eleven.
Thank you. Come again. Thank you. Come again.
Thank you.
No, because I have to make it my own, man. What's your name? Mark. I'd be the Mark character. It'd be funny because it's a total inversion.
Be the cranky old white guy and say, "Get your shit and get out."
No, see, I can't. I'd have to be because Apu was great, right? Everybody liked Apu. Right?
Yeah.
So I could be an affable, Canadian.
on some old John Larroquette sitcom that didn't last too long, there was this dude that looked like Arabic and had an Arabic accent and stuff like that. And he asked him, like, what's your name anyway? And he said, Mark. M-A-R-K. Mark. And
yep. Sounds about right.
No,
yep.
Mark.
What about Johnny Quest? Who was
Quest.
Johnny Quest's best friend? Haji.
Well, they did the same thing with, what's his name? Oh my gosh. Bruce Lee and Kato and the Green Hornet. Kato was more popular than the Green Hornet. And again, this was all done.
And this is Ranger, don't forget him.
Yeah, right. But all of this stuff, and like, it could be a coincidence. It could be a really, really crazy coincidence. But like, who's in charge of the media and who's in charge of like what movies are popular? Jurassic Park. That's not a coincidence, right? Like, and so it's all part and parcel of this kind of cascading idea of we need to open up the West and allow mass migration into the West. And we need to make the West a place where people want to actually go. Because if the West is a nightmare, nobody's going to want to come here. And so we were bribed with this just money flowing into the culture to make it this attractive place to go. And we were told through movies and things like that, that diversity is our strength, right? With Kato and Tonto, not Tonto, the Lone Ranger one, all of this stuff. It was meant to open up people's minds and like, oh, you're so racist if you have a closed mind. Don't you like Turkish food? Don't you like this? Don't you like that? And then like, oh, we've got curries now, right? And we've got Indian food, and we've got takeout and Chinese takeout. They're definitely not stealing any kind of agricultural secrets by having Chinese restaurants across Canada in the 1950s. Definitely fine. Everything's fine. No problems. Everybody just kind of took it and didn't push back at all. And so now we're in a situation where, when you don't even know what's what, like you're not sure which way's up. To save ourselves, if we say, listen, like we're gonna stop all of this crazy stuff and we're gonna like get on the right path, people will say that's not the right path. That's the path of capitalism, and capitalism's wrong. Capitalism's not the way to do things. It's like, well, that's how things have been done for the last 100 years or whatever, and that's probably pretty good, but it hasn't actually. After the Second World War, they introduced socialism. What was the year that Canada got free, quote, free healthcare? The NHS was introduced after the Second World War. They soft launched socialism in the entire West after the Second World War, while they were de-arming the West, like after they started getting rid of all the weapons and stuff that were used to fight during the Second World War. And then the Cold War happened, but they fundamentally, I think they're pushing all of this, and it doesn't seem like a coincidence. It seems like a very, very coordinated plan. And it's going to be very difficult to move me off of that, because there's a lot of cause, like, what is it? The action, reaction, solution, right? And I think they have an idea of which way people are going to go. And right now we're in a cause, reaction, solution situation where they've flooded our country with migrants. People are going to demand safety to get back and forth to the grocery store and to school and stuff like that. And they're going to say digital ID. And people will say, if that solves the problem, and of course it won't, but they'll say it will, and we'll move forward with that, despite people saying, hey, like there's problems with this, just like COVID, right? Hey, there's problems with this whole idea. There's issues with this, and they won't care. They'll just move forward anyway with their eyes closed purposely. It's crazy stuff. Thanks, MC. Bill? There you go.
I believe the healthcare thing started in the early 60s, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought it was 57, but I could have the date wrong.
It was after that. It was,
yeah. 57. I thought it was 57 for NHS. Might be the 60s, because it was Tommy Douglas, right? Wasn't it Tommy Douglas who?
Well, it was Tommy Douglas. It was like a communist who branded himself as an NDP or sort of thing, which Trudeau was originally. Anyways.
Yep.
I could be wrong. Like I said, I think it was in the early 60s, 61, between 61 and 63 or whatever. And the Russians were in charge of Pearson at that time. Communists infiltrated through a bunch of people that bribed their way out. When I was a kid growing up in a small town, there was a guy that ran a Chinese store or restaurant type thing and that. And even as little kids, you'd ask him, like, what was going on? And he'd tell you, like, I remember we left there and talking to people from there afterwards, and he finally was able to get his daughter out. I think it was after her mother died or whatever.
Thanks, Kenzie.
And she was 17 at the time, had never really known her father at all. But in the meantime, of course, then you have, say, the elites and this and that bringing in the communist spies. And like, again, I harp on Bezmenov day in, day out to people. And all you have to do is watch an hour and a half of that.
To
and
understand.
you can see all the play. And Britain's interesting because if you watch, was it the Promethean Institute or whatever, it's a group of women that are embedded with the Republican Party and this and that. And they talk a lot about the Fabian Marxists in Britain still pushing
lamb in sheep's or wolf in sheep's clothing, the Fabian Society.
Yeah, exactly right. And what these British Marxists are doing is, ever since the Americans broke away from, say, the whole premise of a monarchy, which again, we're talking authoritarianism or whatever, depending on the brand of monarchy it is. And the American society in the West has been a thorn in their side ever since it took place, and the Brits got their asses kicked by the Americans, not just once, but a couple of times. Mm-hmm. Like us burning down the White House, we didn't burn anything down. It was Brits and local Indians that did that. Sure. And even there, we got our asses kicked after that. So anyways, that's pretty much what, and then the disarming thing, that's another interesting thing too, because after the British government disarmed their people after World War One, they came begging in the colonies for firearms for the Home Guard during World War II, which I found pretty laughable. Like, I mean, and then now we're sitting there talking about taking ARs and sending them to the Ukraine. Well, depending on where the Ukraine is with ammo, you got to remember that it's an Eastern Bloc country, and they probably started out 7.62 by 39, but as, say, Biden and everybody else probably started filtering stuff through Afghanistan and then back through them and then back out through the black market to various terrorist groups, 5.56 is probably more popular there now. So is the Canadian government foreshadowing? They only got a couple of dozen guns out of the East on their little trial run. They won't get any from the West. That I already know for a fact.
So you're saying the ammunition's incompatible?
Well, the ammunition would be compatible at that point because the ARs are typically a 5.56, like most of them. There's different calibers of. It's the same thing as the 30-06. Whatchamacallit bullshit about what's his face that just got assassinated. I could load you up some hand grounds right now to do exactly what happened to Charlie Kirk.
What happened?
Anybody tells me different's full of shit. Anyways,
what happened? Sorry, hold on. What happened to Charlie Kirk?
Well, he obviously got shot, but a 30-06 is just a round. It's a 30 caliber based round.
Yeah.
I can put that up. I can load it down. I've run like rounds and they were hot. Like, don't do this at home. They were pushing like even hand loaded 300 Win Mag loads, and man, I'll tell you, I was straining things. I was having brass failures. I was like kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? A warning sign to me to maybe back down on my speed. Like, it's like hot rodding. You want to run a AA fueler, or you want to run a door slammer. AA fuelers cost you more money, and you can get killed faster than a AA fueler.
Gotcha.
But anyways, that being said, I've seen enough forensic shit that could have been a 30-06. Anyways, but
there's no way it could have been a 30-06. I know nothing about I know nothing about guns. Hold on, I know nothing about guns, but I've seen the ballistics of what a 30-06 round does to somebody's head. Yeah, but okay, hold on. We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. Thanks, Bill. This budget. Do we think that the budget? I think the budget is going to pass. I think the budget is going to pass with flying colors, with the NDP supporting, or they're one away from a majority now at this point. So I think it's interesting that our government has basically stolen the election 6 months after the election. Like, we've still got movement and whatever in the House of Commons with regards to people crossing the floor and the guy who resigned, blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't look like this budget is going to trigger any kind of election. Right? What do you guys think? Anybody?
Well, nobody noticed, like, nobody's going to notice that the PCs had a chance to bring down the government and they skipped it.
Yeah, like, I talked about it twice. Yeah, and people are talking about it, but nobody seems to care or have a good reason why. I heard somebody commented, if you saw the amendments the Bloc wanted, you would understand why the CPC voted no. And it's like, well, not if they could have triggered an election. Why would they? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's null.
It would have wiped it all away.
Yeah, it's null. Yeah. Yep. I'd like to say I don't understand.
Do you think they were that incompetent?
No,
I don't either.
By decision.
Then it has to be deliberate.
Yeah, it is deliberate. Absolutely deliberate. So what does that mean? Like, there was never going to be an election with regards to this budget.
Well, there's one final confidence vote, but why would you push it to the end if you could fold them right then and there?
Exactly. Like, well, that's what I said. That was my logic around why would you be the NDP and pass these other amendments just before, like, they passed what, C3? I think it was something like that, just before the budget bill. And it's like, if you're going to do that, then you're clearly not going to drop the government anytime soon. So, but if they do this, which they are going to do this, then all of the speech crap is going to get through as well. And I mean, like, maybe Poilievre's going to be able to filibuster again. Maybe they'll force an election, but the elections are rigged. Like, it's rigged. We're not going to get out of this by going to the ballot box, unfortunately. And I wish that I was wrong. I hope that I'm wrong, but like,
I don't see a way out.
It doesn't seem likely. And the longer we let them continue to put in these bad policies and to run our country into the ground, the more time they have to set up. It's like you're under fire and then the fire stops and you're like, oh, thank goodness. Now I can resupply and sort things out. But so are they, right? So we never started sorting things out. They are very organized. They have positions of power. They just took New York, right underneath Donald Trump. Like the levers of power are being removed. And as we were talking about in the green room before the show, I'm disenfranchised because I don't speak enough French to be a player in the federal government. If I was elected, even if I was a party leader, I probably would never be prime minister. And that's unfortunate. And not only because I don't speak French, but one of the reasons is because I don't speak French. The other reason is because I'm not connected enough, right? Like I'm not connected. I don't have any real connections to people who I think would be able to put me in position for a run like that. You know what I mean? And so
unless your parents have, some sort of titles, where are you going to go?
Right. Well, you're kind of screwed, right? Harper, I think, was the closest to being an everyman, quote, everyman, to take over, but he had the wherewithal or the ability or connections or whatever to unite the right against a weak left. And now the left has come back stronger than ever, and the right is not even recognizing the issue. It's super, and I mean, right down to the point of allowing Poilievre to vote with the Liberals, and there's no backlash. Nobody cares, right? There's a couple of influencers who are upset about it, kind of, but not really. It's weird, right? Like, isn't that strange? And how long?
Yes, it is.
How long before the CPC disintegrates entirely? Because it's a corporate-backed party, but if all they have is corporate people, like, are they going to be able to maintain the party for a while? Probably, but 4 losses, 5 losses, 10 losses, how many losses before the party's not viable anymore? Right? Like it doesn't seem viable to me. They're not speaking to anybody. They're not brave at all. They're not brave at all. It's ridiculous. Bill,
they're the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, kind of. And like, sure, it looks like they're coming out and sometimes they score goals and sometimes they look like absolute brilliant ice hockey players, but then they get to the playoffs and you're like, oh yeah, these guys are they're going to shit the bed, and they're going to shit the bed like 5 times during just this part. Like, it's terrible. Thanks, MC. Bill?
Like, these were votes on amendments. We'll have to wait and see what happens to the next vote. Like, I wonder, and again, this is based on where they've been the last few go-rounds, like, definitely there needs to be rejigging at the base level of the CPC, and that means people on the ground going to the local constituency associations and then, unfortunately, paying some cash and going to these conventions and basically either cleaning out what's going on in the back room. That's the only way you're going to make any changes. Like, you look at the last few elections, who did they have running the show? You had a controlled Scheer who went from this to this overnight. Mm-hmm. Then we had O'Toole. And even Poilievre. I know there's a lot of people that are kind of have mixed feelings about him, but to be honest, I mean, he did gain more votes. It's just, like, our system is such that we look at, say, the population of areas, who controls what happens. Like us out west, we said it for decades. We know before the polls close here whether who's won and who's lost, just because the East population, for the most part, vote Liberal. Whether it's hold back from, it's in the genes from the Laurentian days or whatever, I haven't a sniff. But it's the same thing even here in Alberta.
The elections are rigged, that's why. The elections are rigged. And they rig the elections through their activities, through using using government to do campaign style announcements, to pressuring companies to silence people during elections. I had my Twitter shut off during the 2019 election. That's election interference. Faith Goldie was not allowed to advertise on Bell Media, and then Rogers did the same thing. There's fraud everywhere. The whole mail-in votes.
And we've seen most of that since when? Since the Liberals.
It's been like, but it's been like that for a long damn time.
Oh,
yeah, it's
absolutely.
not new.
I
It's
would
not
argue
new.
Even during the Trudeau years, et cetera, et cetera.
Dalton McGuinty said during my first, like the first time I was really an adult to vote and stuff, he said no new taxes. And I was over at my parents' house for dinner, and my dad was like, who are you going to vote for? And I was like, oh, I don't know, probably the Liberals. And he was like, no. He said, don't vote for the Liberals, don't. And like, you have to understand, back then, unions, and like my mom was in a union and a union steward, and I was in a union. And so there's a lot of pressure when you're in unions. They send out instructions and all sorts of stuff. And so like, I didn't know better. And my dad was like, this is a bad idea.
But that boils right back down to you said it.
But my counter was, he signed this thing that said no new taxes. And so, and then the first thing he effing well did was bring in the health levy, right? That was the first thing he did.
But
and I was
liberals lie. And that's how they get around it. Liberals, you got to remember that they've embraced.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. I know now.
And everything else that the NDP grew out of through Trudeau. The Liberals before Trudeau. I mean, again, I'll always argue that Pearson was probably more compromised than a lot of people, even think, right? But after Trudeau, the Liberals went full scale Marxist. Canada's been moving slowly.
But all the parties are. Like the Green Party is Marxist communist. The NDP are too. Sorry?
Oh, the NDP are off the rails. They were the original Marxists, and then they softened their stance. What's the goal of socialism is to become communist.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is in order to get votes in our system, and I was in meetings years ago where people were saying like hardline stance on this and this and this, and they said, well, we're always going to be a fringe party if we do that. We have to embrace the center and then try to subtly push our notions here and there on this and this and slowly bring them back. Because Canada over the last 60 to 100 years, I'm afraid, has become a socialist country.
Yeah. But
the furthest left that we've seen in the States is center right here. That should speak volumes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And we could fix it, and I don't think we have to fix it a little bit at a time. We could fix it with better policies and showing people the results of those better policies.
Well, and that's how you do it, is by joining your local CAs and doing all that and doing that. Sitting there and screaming at the clouds doesn't do it. Everybody in this room,
it's all rigged. If you go in, listen, I'll tell you, if you go in, it's all fucking rigged. If you go in and try, like I've tried, and I'm not the right temperance or anything like that. And I know people have had their hands up for a while, and we have to move on quick. But I've tried. But if you go into these situations, you get targeted. So there's two things that they'll do to you. Either you will be an important person outlining and rolling out their policy, because the policy coming from you is like Alberta doing lockdowns first, right? Like they've got you and they've turned you, and now you're their emissary or whatever. Or the other thing, if they can't turn you, they will isolate you and block you. You will not get included. You will not get emails. People will forget to invite you. You will be minimized. And like you can say, well, then you've got to get more allies. You've got to get this. You've got to get that. You've got to respond to this. This is how the game works. It is not how the game works. This is a rigged game. Yes, it is. It's not how society works. That's not how this works.
Sure it is.
No, it's not.
Like you get
it's a rigged. No, it's not. It's not rigged. No. When you have a situation where you try and come in to work on a school board, for example, because people are pretending that men can be women and encouraging young children to mutilate themselves. And you try, and I've done this, like I've lived this experience, and you try and I worked in schools for 15 years. I have all sorts of experience up and down with school. I'm an ideal candidate. My education was in schools. I'm an ideal candidate to be a school board trustee. The ETFO, used their influence, their money, to select the candidates who would carry on the Marxist bullshit. This is a rigged game. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter your team. It doesn't matter anything. And I think that telling people to go and play this game wastes fucking time. Because you're telling people, oh, go do this, go do this, go do that.
The only other way, Mark,
no,
is
realize where we are. Realize where we are.
Are you going to change their minds?
It's like going and voting. No. It's like going and vote. It's like going and voting and saying, we'll get them next time, Pierre. It's bullshit. And that's what I'm trying to say. The more we put our heads in the sand and ignore the situation that we're in, the more time we'll waste trying to play and lose their game on their level. And we are not going to make
your answer?
Realize where we are and realize that we can't and realize that we can't vote our way out of this, and so try and do something else. That's the solution.
What is? What's the other way out of this?
If I had the solution, I wouldn't be sitting here lamenting that we have no way out other than revolution. History has shown. Okay.
Revolution. Sure. That's the only solution.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, Bill. Valerie, I agree, but that's not happening. So, thank you. Valerie. Oh, you're muted. You're still muted. There we go.
There. Okay,
yep.
I'm in. Okay. I think there are solutions to what is going on. And Mark, I think you've been instrumental at the lowest municipal type levels where we are putting taxes in for the school board system. Like I voted for you, Mark, when your time was out there, right? But I think what we've got to realize is that the globalist program was instituted even as I was in high school. Like the instructions for, it was always a global to local initiative. So I think to reverse what's going on, we're going to have to do a local to global initiative. And that would mean some tricky stuff. And I've watched Cal Washington, who is doing a local to global initiative, and he's going against the democidal globalist agenda to destroy population by attacking 3 of the agendas available coming down to us, which have to do with 5G, which have to do with geoengineering, which have to do with injections for the digital ID, and which have to do with smart or surveillance metering of everyone. So actually it costs to join Cal Washington's group, and thereafter there's a lot of work that needs to be preceded, because you basically fill up the cup that they're offering you in terms of tacit agreements, and you hand it back double. And it's money being used to take down the people in power at all levels, from the municipal to the provincial to the federal, by Cal at this moment in time. So they're basically billing the nefarious persons for their egregious behavior. And it involves using merchant law, where you're actually billing and sending out something called commercial paper, which is in itself to be distributed amongst those that are inventing it, which are the people at the lowest level. And so it arrives on the desk of the nefarious person, and they usually ignore it. But by ignoring a tacit agreement, you actually lock yourself into dishonor. The people holding the pages right now with the billings are basically going to be the holders of the financial system in the long run, but not now. Most of the action is just getting people to resign from their positions at this moment in time. But once the system goes down and people realize that it's not functioning for most of the population, then the commercial paper that has been set up by Cal's system, which is a crypto basically, will be what's funded and remaining basically.
Like the unfortunate thing is, people say, what do we do? And like, even me, what do we do? I think it's going to collapse. Like what happens is people stop paying attention to things that don't matter to them. And like, they're going to create all these laws that people don't want to follow, don't think are legit, don't think have basis in law, right? Because it's supposed to be rule of law is this law exists because it applies to everybody equally. But if it doesn't apply to everybody equally, if it's just me, right? The no marks on the internet club, well, that's not going to work. People are not going to abide that. And like, so they have, and I've said this before, they don't want to lose control. They don't want to, because right now people believe the television and will go to work and will do all the things that they're supposed to do. So if the powers that be lose the confidence of the people, they lose control. And so they don't want to lose control. So they want to keep the grift going. And so they do keep the grift going by making sure that, like, they've got levers and all sorts of balance things that they're trying to balance out to make sure things don't get bad enough that people rise up and kill their puppets, because it's not even them that are at risk right now. It's their power that's at risk, right? And so if people rise up and kill their puppets, then they don't have puppet representation in the government, and then the people can start undoing the globalist stuff that's been done. But the globalist stuff that's been done is 100 years old more, right? And so I think more than 100, but we can disagree. But it'll be hard to discern. It'll be hard to discern what's good, like what's good science, what's good to keep funding, and what's bad to keep funding. Like, for example, this SNAP benefit stuff. Before Biden was in office, it was $17 billion or something like that. After Biden, or 17 million recipients. After Biden, 41 million recipients. And like, that's crazy, right? And so like, that's a lot of fraud. And so like, when you look at that, somebody who's moving fast in a legislative assembly or in a legislative session trying to undo 40 years or 100 years of globalist crap will look at things and be like, okay, well, I don't want to throw people off, food stamps or something like that. That's low priority. I want to get the other fraud that's happening. But the food stamp fraud is like one of the top line pieces of fraud that's happening, and you should stamp that kind of stuff out. But it's that kind of stuff that's going to go through the cracks. I think that ultimately, like, they have such a grip on power, and we live in a prison that we can't see, and they're the warden. And so am I confident that people are going to be able to stop it? No. I think, like I've said, if you have a country that stands up and says, we're not going to do this globalist stuff, they're going to economically destroy your country. If you have a province that stands up and says, we're not going to do this stuff, they're going to economically destroy your country, probably, just to get to the province. So like, I don't know what the solution is.
I think it's local. I really do. I think what we have to do is use our local merchants courts. The original merchant court was
but people have to have buy-in. And like, so like, what's her name? Sheila.
Just do it yourself. Whatever you're
No, I know, but like, it's a lot of time. I understand. But what I'm saying is there's no buy-in from the other side. There's no so what. If you don't do this and then the so what doesn't trigger, they're going to say, yeah, well, what you're saying is a moot point. It would be like somebody coming to the door and saying, you're under arrest, Mark, for, or you owe this fine, Mark, for saying mean things on the internet. And me going, all right, see you later, dude. And me never paying it and them never coming back and saying anything more about it. It's moot.
Well, that's one thing that's ongoing is those stupid traffic tickets out of, say, Aberfoyle South at Brock Road, where they're actually using phased array radar guns, which can be juiced up and beamed at people. People really should be taking down this surveillance infrastructure.
I agree.
A lot of people don't understand that it's a kill zone. Like future kill zones will be intersections where they've set up this infrastructure that they can juice up. They haven't done it yet, but they can identify you, and then they can definitely juice it up if they want to.
There's been lots of, they use cars, they use heart attack guns. There's all sorts of ways to eliminate people they don't like. Yeah. Thanks, Val. It's very frustrating. Cheers.
I think there's a solution, though. That's what I'm trying to say.
I don't know.
That every individual has to go in their own particular way. Some are more empowered in certain ways than others. Like I would use small claims court because it's accessible to me at my level of power, which isn't very high. And I'd also use CAL's attempt to take out people at the higher levels and basically I'm just getting them to resign.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah, well, I mean that might, I mean, it might work. I'm not saying it's not going to work. I feel like
but there's money behind it. Like all the people that have put out there, although they aren't honoring the fining that I'm doing, I'm fining them for their behavior on a daily basis, and the money builds with interest, compound interest over time. So they are getting really scared about what the little people like myself are doing to them. When that paper is out there and we have the originals in our own keeping, we are the start of the new financial system, which starts up. And it will start up in a crypto base, probably because it's the easiest thing for us to build at our level.
I think I'd rather have silver. I don't know.
Yeah,
silver and gold.
We've got that, definitely. It's got to be backed by silver and gold. Like it can't be the, like the way they're running the stock market, where they
it's not real.
California, they shut down the power lines, and basically the price of electricity in California goes up on purpose. Yep. And then they're skimming like these stock market brokers on Wall Street and Bay Street are basically destroying the environment by playing their speculation games, which actually involve destroying Mother Nature by destroying the power lines and making them drip down to the floor to burn the forests. So what we're watching in terms of finance has to be very much regulated. The regulatory bodies haven't been allowed to regulate properly.
Oh, the regulatory, it's all cricket. It's turtles all the way down. That's what I'm saying. It's all cricket. I don't want to. If we have regulation, I want to remove all the regulation bodies. Get them gone, and then we'll see where we're at. So anyway, thanks, Val. We've got so many people.
Only moral people can behave under those circumstances as governors, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's got to be a better way. And what we're doing is wrong. What we're doing is putting the trimming on our own prison cell. Like, we shouldn't be doing this. What we're doing is wrong. The direction we're going is wrong. The policies are wrong. What we're doing is wrong. We're wrong. And I hope there's a way to fix it, but I don't know. MC, thanks, Val.
Well, things should be more local, and things will become more local once this system collapses, which is basically I'm just waiting for this system to collapse, because that's what's going to happen. Like, not enough people are waking up to stop it, so that's what's going to happen. As far as corruption goes and stuff like that, it is.
So hold on. It is everywhere. I agree. Sorry, I don't mean to derail you. When you say collapse is going to happen, do you mean like a collapse like the 1930s? Because in my opinion, that collapse was an engineered collapse meant to control the population. What needs to happen is a full collapse of like the government, and not just Canada's government, a full collapse of all Western governments. But then that leaves a power vacuum. So I'm not sure exactly. What do you mean when you say a full collapse? Are you saying the Canadian government, the Canadian landmass doesn't have any sitting government and no pathway back because things are so chaotic? And even if there was a government, nobody would listen to them anyway. The police don't work for them. The military don't work for them. And the same is true in the United States. What do you mean by collapse? I want to kind of flesh that out a bit.
It has to be a collapse that hits everyone, which means it's going to be like a financial supply chain, financial/supply chain collapse. The difference between now and the 1930s is that now the government has a lot more enforcement infrastructure in place than they did back then. So like now it's a case of it's like they're already collapsing rule of law, right? We're becoming a lawless society. Masks,
it's collapsed, I would say.
All this stuff. When you look at it, you go like, I know I'm not going to get a fair shake from the justice system.
Yes.
Do most people realize that already?
No.
Or will they still go along with things? They'll still go along with things. So that is the thing that collapses. Like that, the supply chain collapses so much that everyone's impacted finally. And then the government comes along and says, oh, we're going to fix you with these things that you look at it and go, well, that doesn't help anything. That makes it worse. But they're going to come and try and enforce that anyway. And that's the collapse. When everyone's impoverished by the government policies, and then the government tries to enforce their way out of it, and everyone finally realizes that these people aren't the solution.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. And so that's a very bleak picture. Like that's pretty bad.
Yes.
Do you think it could get that bad without the United States intervening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not intervening now.
Yeah. Well,
Like
a little bit though.
I like Mark Carney. He's a great guy. Oh,
He
we're
says
not gonna do a trade
Trump.
deal.
Trump says the same thing about Kim Jong Un.
There you go.
I'm just saying, like, what economically what he's doing though is putting a lot of pressure on Canada. Like the USMCA is not a foregone conclusion. Like I don't know. So even with the United Kingdom, Trump said to Starmer, like there was Trump, and I'm not saying Trump's white knighting us or anything like that, or even like free speech. But there was economic pressure. Vance directly told Starmer there was stuff said between the United States and England with regards to they wanted to pass something to push Apple to remove encryption from the Apple devices, the messaging devices. And JD Vance was like, no, you can't do this. I think that they stopped it, right? So like I don't know how far they'll let things go before they intervene. But there seems to be a line that they might.
Yeah. So I think that if anything, Trump is tough loving us. Right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
You have to let the government of Canada, tyrannize against the people of Canada long enough for the people of Canada to finally have had enough.
To understand what's happening. Yeah.
Right. And we haven't had enough. So he's got to let Mark Carney hang around and be himself and until people have had enough, which I don't know when that's going to happen.
We're just the kid crying in our own bedroom right now that we've been punished and slapped and said, don't do what you're doing. And we're retaliating in our bedroom crying right now. And it just hasn't come to the point that you haven't realized that your parents aren't feeding you dinner until you apologize.
Yeah, but the real solution is to run away to the carnival because your parents are effing communists. So,
Yeah.
Well, let's just make sure we all understand. We elected a carney, or we were forced a carney upon us. And what does when I was growing up, every August, what did you go and do? You went to the county fair.
yeah.
You went to the carnival. But what was the first thing that your parents always told you and your friends? Don't trust a carney.
Of course, indeed. Thanks, MC and Noel.
Well, and the corruption, like up until a couple of days ago, I would have thought that my local 20-year plus member of parliament is just naive, right? And he's benefited from the system. And so, so he believes in the system because it's, done pretty right by him and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But then a local landowner let me know that apparently his son is backed by millions and millions of dollars in financing and going around and buying up the farmland that comes up for sale around these parts.
So he's a lieutenant.
So there you go. Some guy that looks all innocent, that just looks naive, turns out to be connected,
yep.
and he's a PC, right?
Neck deep.
So that it's on all sides.
Yeah, and that's it. That's what I mean. It's
I was just talking
sides.
to Max. And Max is sorry he couldn't show up to the
He's
show.
here.
He's not feeling well. He's in the chat.
Yeah.
His hand is up.
Oh, we did show
he's
up.
Next.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
he's next. He's coming up right after MC's done.
Burn it all down, Max.
Hold on, Max. Thanks, MC. Max, do you know the gull that Captain Picard was speaking to during the R4 lights, their R4 lights exchange?
I don't remember. I haven't watched Star Trek in so long.
It's all right. How's it going, man? Nice to see you.
Good. I'm sick. I'm on tons of cold pills and medication,
Thanks,
but I'm here now. I said this, and even though Ostrich Gate is a distraction, it is a useful distraction that we can all learn from, and that is look at media that wasn't calling this out, wasn't standing with farmers, and more importantly, look at how complicit the whole CPC has been. Mm-hmm. They only got some backbencher, nobody in the lobby. And when he found out the call was happening, he was like, yeah, it's what it is. Nothing we can do about it, even though we're the opposition and are meant to oppose. Mm-hmm. And I've been saying this for a while, that if a true conservative opposition ever wants to come out of Canada, it's not going to be through the CPC. It might be through Bernier, might through, say, the whole trucker party. If that ever happens, it might be through like the like West leaving, but it's not going to happen in the CPC. And frankly, I know I'm switching topics quickly, but people when people put all their eggs in the basket of the West wanting out, that's not going to happen because there's so much vested interest to like ensure it doesn't happen. Because the way it is right now, the like whole East is like raping Alberta. The best way I can put it, and leeching off your guys' money. That is what's happening. So the left and NDP don't want that to happen. Alberta and Sask are like the whole CPC war chest. If they lose that, they don't win ever again. So that's why I keep saying that all these separatists, they talk a good game about Alberta's spirit, but in the end, it's not going to matter because you are charging the whole enemy, the whole enemy line, and they have machine guns aimed right at you, and you will get mowed down because you have no plan of attack. And at this point, I'm so done with every establishment party in this country. And if you look at young people, I see it in the young people I talk to. There is no party that is standing up for like our interests. It's not just in Canada; it's in the States. This is why, like, say young people are so disgruntled with like, I'll use the example of the States, like with Trump. Mm-hmm. Nothing about the like Epstein files. We're still funding Israel, or they're still like funding Israel. Yep. and fighting their proxy wars for no reason. I saw it on Instagram, and I wish I saved the post so I can get the name. But there is a Israeli lobby group in Canada which acts very similar to like AIPAC in the States, yep. And nobody's calling it out. Yep. And guess what? Pierre's getting money, but so is Justin. So it doesn't matter. We are being played, and that's why young people are so disgruntled with the whole system. And no offense, but like, and obviously not you guys, but these boomers don't fucking get it, even on the right. I'm sorry, they don't get it. Yep. Because as a young person, I've grown up seeing that all these parties don't care about us. Mm-hmm. It's like what Michael Jackson said. Yep. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. And all these boomers telling me to vote for fucking Pierre, saying it's going to be different, guys. You got to trust the plan. You got to play 4D chess to win. I'm sorry. Every time they say that, it doesn't work. I'm gonna start calling the like CPC 007. Do you want to know why? There are zero meaningful change, zero good policies, but there's going to be 7 losses in the elections. Yep. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to back any of these parties. I hate them all. Burn it down. Yeah, and I'm tired of pretending we're not. I'm tired of it.
I agree. There isn't one politician in Canada, Maxime Bernier to a degree.
Yeah, but he's a pundit at this point.
He'll say a lot, but yeah.
And I'm sorry, but like all he is like he's just on Twitter. Twitter doesn't win wars. Yeah. If like he was actually on the ground at some of these protests, like he was during COVID, maybe I'd want to back him. But I don't see that. I don't see that from Bernier now. The way I'm starting to like see Bernier is like he got his bag and he's gone.
Maybe.
And I know that's cynical, but I just haven't seen anything meaningful from the like PPC. And I want to like be like PPC, but I just haven't seen anything. I'm not just gonna put my faith in a political party because I've done that before and it's gotten us nowhere.
Yeah, I hear you. I wonder what it would take, and I think fundamentally that people need to speak about what's going on in a way that is, in a way that reflects how people feel about it. And the fact that we aren't seeing that is, well, part and parcel of the times we live in, right? Like, you're not allowed to say that man can't be a woman. You're not allowed to say.
And like, to go on to that, I text this to like Noel, but looking at things like the whole left-right paradigm, I'm sorry, it's like the gayest shit ever. It is stupid, and it doesn't matter because I think even though like me, Mark, Noel, we all have we are at varying ages, we have different life experiences, and we all have a different story, but we have more in common with each other than like we do with like the liberals, conservatives, NDP. And that's even the same with like even just a normie on the left. I think we have more in common with them than any political party. And I think if we actually came together as people, not from any stripe, and actually came up with meaningful solutions to like solve our problems, we would be in a way better state than just backing one singular party all the time during an election.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree there. I agree.
And even in conservatism, I don't like conservative media in Canada on the right because there are some sacred cows you can't call out. Why am I labeled as some leftist if I say if I think something is wrong with like Polyev? Why am I labeled as like a leftist when I have criticisms of like it's bad when I call Pierre, but it's even worse when like I call out Danielle Smith. I'm sorry, but she is a sacred cow that nobody on the right in Canada is allowed to like question. And I don't know why. Like I'm sorry, if Danielle Smith is playing the like climate game, she's not on your side, guys. Like she's not on your side. And if people call me that, I'm called some like dumb Easterner. When like I've seen how this game is played, dog. I've lived through Scheer, O'Toole, Polyev. I'm sorry, I'm paying attention to patterns. And I don't get why I can't call out Danielle Smith. I don't get why say if like I mention something in like a Rebel News comment section, what I get lambasted with like Danielle Smith is our guy. When I'm sorry, on Rebel News live streams, they are getting ads from the government of Alberta. I'm not lying. It is in their live streams. And why can't I call it Smith whenever she makes a mistake? And the way I knew that she was controlled op is because her saying, we'll give Carney to like November 16th. That was her 2 weeks to like flatten the curve moment. That was her 2 weeks to flatten the curve moment, to pass the buck so everyone would just forget. And I try to tell like Alberta separatists this, and I just get lambasted as like a dumb Easterner. But I'm sorry, no, you are blinded. It's just idol worship, and I don't get it.
To just shed a bit of light onto it, people who are in the party. So if you're in the caucus, once the party's taken a line, if you're in the party caucus, not the rank and file, just by joining a party, you can question the party if you want to. But like if you're in the party, you have to pull the party line, right? And so that's could be the pushback that you're getting. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like Polyev is a sacred cow because
like, if I just make a criticism, I just get called a leftist, even though I think we should hold every politician accountable. It doesn't matter what team they are a part of. And I don't get that from the right.
Somebody who's on your same team who doesn't think that the captain is the right guy is more dangerous than somebody who's on the other team who doesn't think the captain is the right guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's why. Right? Like that's why they attack you, because they don't want to give you validity in the eyes of the other people who may be having the same doubts, right? They want to remove that. And so they have a strong united thing, but they don't address any of the issues in doing that. In attacking you, they expose that they have really nothing to back up their policies. They just have this and personality.
Mark, I'm sorry for like swearing. It's just,
it's okay. I understand.
I'm angry because I'm the youngest person here, and it's hard in like every day where shit like this happens and nobody calls it out. I lose more and more hope. I'm trying not to, but it's hard not to be discouraged.
I hear you. I talked about that the other day at the end of my show, and like I hear what you're saying, and I mean for me too. You know, like anybody who's got a future or who wants a future in this country, like you've got kids, you've got nieces and nephews, you've got people who you care about. You want to see the country. I say a lot, like I want the straightest line back to a sane country with sane policies as possible. So I think that like it's normal to feel like that. It's normal to feel like that pressure, like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get ahead. But there are opportunities that never existed before. And you know what I mean?
And
like
you showed me some of those, and you showed me some of those personally, and like I thank you for that.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, like you can make your life what you want it to be, and just because you face headwinds that seem steep, you can climb that wall. You know what I mean? Like it looks like a wall, but like really it's just an obstacle, and you can get over it. And like other people had obstacles. Like there were kids who were growing up in other decades, and they had crazy shit to face as well. You know what I mean? And I mean, like, I can't think, I guess we had 2003, like we had the 9/11, and we had the invasion of Iraq and all that stuff going on. The 2008 thing. I didn't make any money anyway. So like when 2008 happened, I owned a house, and I was a little bit house poor, but I was okay. Like whatever, my salary, which was low, by low, I mean like $38,000 a year. That was enough to buy me a house, and the house was $120,000 a year, something to that effect. And so I was a little tight, I was a little tight at that point in time. But I had jobs like I went to college. Like I didn't go to university because at the time university was people that I knew were going to university. One girl went to Queen's, which is quite a good university. She went for engineering and she came back and she couldn't get a job. She worked at an Old Navy. And she was like, you know, you shouldn't go to university. And she had graduated like 2 years before me. And I had already decided I didn't want to go to university. I was a solid C student, but I was a C student in advanced placement programs. Mm-hmm. So like that gave me a 20.
You would have been like, say, a B or an A and like just regular.
Right. So when I applied to college, I was one of the top students. I was like, no, get out of here. And so they gave me, but I worked in children's mental health. So that's not like a money industry. So like, even though I wasn't making a lot, even though I chose a different path than like some of my friends who, you know, went and became lawyers and went and became, you know, there's all sorts of people doing great. And like, I'm glad that they did great. I had a house first, you know, like I took a different path and I had a lot more liquid money. Like I had a lot more opportunity because of the way that I did things. And so like a lot of times all of this stuff it's noise because some of it may apply to you, but you may have already factored that into your equation anyway. You know what I mean? So like shit happens every 10 years. There's a decade and people will be like, I can't believe we lived through this shit, right? You're going to tell people they locked us all down in high school. Like this is a crazy thing that I lived through. And you're going to have opportunities that are yours alone, you know?
Just to wrap, I agree. And just to wrap up what I'm saying quickly is like, I remember back because when I started to become like politically engaged was like, the whole COVID era. I saw we were locked down. I got all my schoolwork done for the week in a day so I could have a week to like do whatever.
Yeah. Nice.
And I spent my time just going on the internet and looking at things. And I remember even from like watching you, Mark, from watching other people, it was the coolest thing to call out all these politicians. And it didn't matter left or right. You were getting called out for like all the lockdown policies. Now jump to like 2025. Everyone's trying to tell me that like Pierre Poilievre and Danielle Smith are punk rock, but I'm sorry, they are as punk rock as like Rage Against the Machine signing $1 billion label and like record deal. Yep. They are not punk rock. They are the machine. They are they like are the system. And if COVID taught me one thing, it's they hate you.
Yes. With
every fiber of their being, they hate you. And I'm sorry for like going long-winded, but
no, it's okay, man.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
I appreciate it. I hope you're feeling better, man. Thanks, Max.
I'm better by next week.
Yeah, I hope so too. MC, and sorry, Val, you had your hand up for a while and then you didn't, and then you did again. So, but MC.
Okay, well, going back to what Max said about Central Canada leeching off the West and stuff like that, like it goes further than that. Like I remember only a couple of years ago hearing indirectly from, you know, a group of local farmers that there was no way they were ever going to support an alternative party because they were afraid they would lose their subsidies. Right. So the system has bought off enough key players to you know maintain the status quo as it declines, I guess. That's
the red button problem for Catherine Austin Fitts. She'll stand in a room of 100 people and say, we can stop all the crime and the waste and all of it right now. Just push this red button. But it means that you don't get your subsidies. It means you don't get that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And then they won't push the button.
But also what you've been saying lately, Mark, about like, you know, maybe about not losing hope but about like still like moving your life forward and stuff like that. Like, okay, but like not like this many obstacles shouldn't be coming from the government.
Oh, I agree.
And you can't do all this at the, you know, it's not an excuse to ignore what the government is doing. It can't be, because they're just going to keep piling more and more stuff. Like you can't just go like, la-di-da, I'm just going to live my life, government, whatever, because they're coming. They won't stop coming. They're coming for us all, and they will not stop. And you know, you can't, that's like burying your head in the sand about things, right? You can't just pretend it's not there. It's there. And like, it's there and it's not stopping.
Hey, MC, does it take you an hour and a half to get home from work from the west end of Ottawa to the east end now, with accidents and ambulances and crazy people everywhere and tailgaters and just no empathy or etiquette or anything whatsoever? Just, You know, they say it's a 1 million population. It's probably like 2.3. Can you actually function in that society? Can you get anywhere? Can you do anything? It's set up, man, and they don't care.
Well, I've never been to Ottawa, and but like I don't know how like the tent city people don't have cars, do they?
Yes, I think they go home. I think they go home after their performance all day, right? Like they're paid for
I
that.
guess the
aren't
living in cars people have cars.
they? Yeah, right.
I don't know. I think they house them around the Ottawa market and feed them off of tax dollars a block from Parliament, and nobody goes there anymore. So I wouldn't know. Haven't been there in years. I refuse to. I'll skate on the canal, but you know, no thanks, man. It just smells like poo.
The canal.
From what I've seen, most people who want to go visit Parliament would not be allowed because they have those police that come and talk to you about like you can't come in here. You're trespassing on this public building.
Indeed, indeed. Isn't Parliament still under construction? It'll be under construction for 10 years or something like that, right?
Parliament's built on Lieutenant Colonel Bai's sewage dump.
Oh, okay, hold on. I want to address what MC was
So when
saying.
they dug that, they can't understand how the LRT that doesn't work smells like poo all the time.
Fair enough. MC, you were saying like the government is coming relentlessly, unendingly, and like I grew up in I was born in the early 80s. I grew up, in the 90s, nuclear bombs, wars, Iraq, Iran, the Desert Storm. So there's been a gun to my head proverbially for my whole life, right? Like I remember being upset with Desert Storm. So Desert Storm was happening in 92, that I was 11 years old. And I was upset that like the television show I wanted to watch wasn't on because they were doing war coverage. And I found the war coverage boring because it just kept it was just very repetitive. And I was like, they're not saying anything new. It's like, put on our show. And if you get an update, come back and tell us what the update is after my show. And my mom got really mad at me, right? Like blah, blah, blah. But I remember thinking like there's so many things that are out of my control. And so I'm not saying to ignore the world, certainly not. Like I'm looking for ways to Tai Chi myself, and that Tai Chi is use the power that's being thrown at me in motion to like get myself into a better position, right? Like I don't want to fight this thing. I want to flow with this thing. I want to figure out a way to fix it and get myself in the best position. Sorry, I got to blow my nose. Hold on. It's ridiculous. So I want to get myself in the best position I can to deal with this. And so I think everybody else should. Let me give you a quick story. Sorry, this is terrible. When I was working in children's mental health, I had a classroom, and I brought in a fridge and a microwave and I called it my breakfast nook. And like I didn't ask permission, and I got in trouble for that. But like it was implied. Well, not implied. I was like, I might as well. I have to make this work for me, right? Like I was changing jobs, and I had an office that I had that kind of stuff in, and I was like, I'm just going to bring it to my new office, which is my classroom. So I'll bring it to the office, and I didn't ask permission. I just did it, and they tried to stop me, but I did it anyway. And I like pushed, and I scrapped my way into having a little kitchen in my classroom, and I did what I needed to do to make that happen for me. The headwinds were against me. There were obstacles in the way. People said no. And I was like, I don't think no is really the answer I'm going to accept right now. And I just did it. And then I did it again too. And so like, yes, there's going to be shit coming for me. There's going to be people telling me no. There's going to be people saying, you're not going to be able to go grocery shopping unless you get the shot mark. And I'm going to be like, ooh, I don't think so. You can't come in here unless you wear a mask. Ooh, I don't think so. So there's going to be headwinds. There's always going to be headwinds. And I told those MFers about COVID where they could shove it, and I'm not going to damn well do it. And I'm telling the gender ideology people, no, we're not going to damn well do this. And I'm teaching the people that I have influence in to reject this ideology because it is a cracked ideology, but I still have to live in the world. I got to get my chocolate cereal from somewhere, man. Right? Like, So
So I built.
yeah.
So I build exactly.
Hold on,
So
hold
I
on.
build my carport and I build my shed out back. I don't ask. I just do it. Yeah, come get me, you freak shows.
Right.
Jeez.
To
But
a
you're
point.
talking about going with the flow too and stuff like that. And how far do you go into the system before you end up joining up with the system, right? That you hate and stuff like that.
I do hate it, but they do supply chocolate cereal. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's what I don't know. I don't know where the balance is right. I don't know where the balance is right. And the same with COVID as well. I don't know. I didn't know where the balance was right. Like, and they were going to push. I was trying to get on the list of vaccinated people. So I showed up as a vaccinated person if somebody put my name into a database, and I was trying to get doctors to put me on that list. Like, I'm going to try and get the world to bend to my will. Right. And I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get that done. I'm not going to take that damn shot, but I'm also not going to be locked out of my kid's school to watch whatever the thing is. I'm not going to not have access because I can't, quote, prove it. I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to go to the school. I'm going to, you know what I mean? I'm going to push my way in. I'm going to do everything necessary at every level. Does that make sense? So flow with the system. I recognize your system and I'm going to pervert it to meet my needs.
I just kind of don't participate. You know, like, I don't know.
I try.
The other thing that was on my mind today was the poppies, because I will wear a poppy. Never, ever, ever again will I wear a poppy from the Legion.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish someone else would start making poppies. Like after the way the Legion acted, you know, canceling freedom events in Montreal and going up to my friend who was an Afghanistan veteran and a dues-paying Legion member and telling him he couldn't go into their place because he didn't have his shots. Like, no. I'm going to swear.
The sad part is, MC, people
Fuck
have
the
forgotten.
Royal Canadian Legion. They're the worst. I hope they run out of money and dry up and blow away.
Well, and that's, yeah, the institutions, that's what will happen. If they're turned to become a thing that the public don't support and believe in anymore, then they'll collapse under their own weight.
And also people just have forgotten. I know it's a quick side tangent. I know running in a runway, but I needed to like run some errands this week to like get some stuff for family, and I see hardly anyone wearing a poppy. I can count the like amount of people wearing a poppy. And for context, I normally don't wear it on my shirt. I wear it on my jacket or sweater just because when I'm out and about, that's where or what I'm wearing. But I look around and like I'm going into stores and I see nobody's like barely wearing them. And lest we forget, but I think we have forgotten. Or most people have forgotten.
It is engineered. They want us to forget because they want us to have bloodlust against Russia. They want us to go to war with Russia. They want us on the front lines in Ukraine, and they want us to want to win. And they want us to believe that it's life or death, baby. And like, they're trying to make the case. They're trying to, and like we've been at war for forever,
including
right?
the Legion. I fully agree. Like everyone has forgotten, and it's sad, and it's something I don't see a lot of people really calling out because we should be calling it out. We should be calling out that why is it acceptable? Because Don Cherry was like the whole canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, he was.
And first they came for like Don Cherry. And look who else they came for since then.
Yep, it's true. Thanks, Max.
My dad was there. My dad was Air Force, man, and intelligence and NORAD and all that, like full on analog, like you talked about on your show. Yep, it still exists. He ran mainframe, intelligence, national defense. I totally get it, and I will never forget.
I hope not.
Never forget, ever. And they didn't give him hearing aids, and they didn't give him like fuck off.
I'll never forget.
You know what I mean? They didn't give him the things that he needed when he was older because of what he did. So I will never forget that.
I'll never forget.
Just so you understand, it's real and it's a goddamn god.
Because
so
one of my uncle, I'll never forget too. Because I don't think my uncle, he didn't really get into it, but he didn't get the care he needed, and ultimately he was a victim of MAID. And I won't forget that. And I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm choking up, but I am. It's like we can't afford to forget.
I will never forget, Max.
I'll never forget. I won't either.
Thanks, guys. Noel, take us home, buddy. No, it's okay. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I didn't even realize we're already 10 after 11. So Noel, take us home, and then I got to go. So
I hope we're 10 after 2 because if it's 11 in your time,
yeah, 10 after 2. And talking forever.
And you can see even in my own name here up today, lest we forget.
Indeed.
But I did want to say, Mark, when you brought up Desert Storm, it brought me back to something when I was a kid, and I'd already had my hand up about this. But I remember being a kid loving like baseball cards, and like I was right into that. And when Desert Storm was going on, Upper Deck actually had a Desert Storm playing card series, and like I would have to go back and see if I have any of them like after like 40 years, but
that'd be crazy.
or 30 years. But like I remember it glorifying, like the super, like one of the most prestigious cards was the soldiers watching the Super Bowl in gas masks.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like, and I remember that, but that's actually not why I put my hand up. I wanted to put my hand up because we also talked about something, and we just brushed upon it, of Canadian/British burning down the White House. The gentleman that did burn down the White House, his name was Robert Ross. We can also call him Bob Ross.
Oh yeah,
and he was a British lieutenant governor, and he was over in America. And when he was gunned down going to the Battle of Baltimore, he was brought to the closest British port, which actually happens to be Halifax. Halifax had the largest military funeral to date for this gentleman, and he is buried in the old burial grounds of Halifax, which is downtown Halifax, and it is the largest monument in that cemetery.
There are three burial grounds downtown. You're gonna have to be a little more specific.
No, the old burial ground.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The only one that's called
yeah.
the old burial grounds. And if you walk in the doors, you'll see a lion on top of a monument that as you walk through, and just head to a kitty corner to your left,
and
just look for your largest monument, and that's where Robert Ross was buried, the man that burnt down the White House.
Crazy.
He was not Canadian. He was British.
He's a British guy. Wow. Yeah, that was the era, right? So, yeah. Interesting. Well, thank you, Noel. MC, you got your head up, so let's do it, and then I got to go.
I have 2 boxes of Desert Storm cards.
Do you?
Yeah, a lot of unopened packs. The funniest one to me is I have a Brian Mulrooney trading card.
Amazing.
Because they had all these world leaders. They have countries, right? It'll say like Cameroon, and it'll have a little description of Cameroon because there's a country in Africa. And then it'll say, during Operation Desert Storm, Cameroon offered moral support. And
that's amazing. My gosh. Can you
honestly, MC? I'm going to go digging, and I think I might know where they possibly could reside. If I can find them next show, I will.
Bring them out. In 2003, or whenever the invasion of Iraq happened, the powers that be were glorifying War II. I don't remember trading cards, but do you remember the football star who went over to Iraq and then he died? But everybody was like, "Yeah, that was a patriotic thing to do." I was like, "Probably not, though."
On like all sides of like politics, there are war hawks everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah. All right, yeah. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It feels like we are. Like in A Clockwork Orange, where he's got all those violent images being blasted at him. It feels like that's happening for us, and they're just like trying to get us to get angry at the Russians and ignore everything that all the globalists are doing to destroy our country. And they're like, "You want to fight the Russians, don't you?" And it's like, not
It
really.
feels like we're 6 months away from a new G.I. Joe cartoon.
Yeah.
Just to boost that military morale.
Where G.I. Joe is a trans thing?
What? No.
Real American Hebrew. G.I. Jew. Real American Hebrew.
No.
Be the worst cartoon ever. By Netflix, right? Oh no, I'd watch it just for the LOL. No, I wouldn't watch it. Okay, with that, we got to go.